Right now, the tool you use to write code is a weapon in someone else's war. As of April 21, 2026, Elon Musk locked in a deal that gives him the right to buy the AI coding platform you probably use today for $60 billion. Not to build rockets, not to get to Mars, to destroy the two AI companies that Cursor was built on top of. But here's the part nobody is asking. Why does a rocket company need a code editor? Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you will never look at your IDE the same way again. Most of you found Cursor the same way. A tweet, a Reddit thread, a coworker who said, just try it. What Cursor figured out, before anyone else, is that the IDE is the interface to AI, not the chat window, not the API playground, the place where you already live, the terminal, the editor, the autocomplete. They built their entire product as a thin shell over other people's intelligence. Under the hood, Claude 3.5, Sonnet for complex refactors, GPT-4o for fast completions, Anthropic's 200K context window handling your entire codebase. Anthropic didn't just power Cursor. Anthropic's models were the engine. Cursor was the car. And Anthropic knew it. Because every time a developer chose Cursor over raw Claude.ai, Anthropic still got paid. API calls, millions of them, per day. This was a beautiful arrangement for everyone. Until Elon Musk looked at his supercomputer sitting in Memphis, 1 million H100 equivalent GPUs, and asked a single question. Why am I paying Anthropic for something I could own? The first sign something was wrong came quietly. Two of Cursor's most senior engineers, Andrew Milich and Jason Ginsberg, left the company. Not for another startup, not for Google. They went directly to xAI, where they now report directly to Elon Musk. In Silicon Valley, when engineers make that move, it's not a coincidence. It's a scouting report. Then, last week, it leaked that xAI had quietly started renting compute to Cursor, tens of thousands of xAI chips, training Cursor's newest model, not on Anthropic's infrastructure, not on OpenAI's, on Colossus. And now on April 21, 2026, the mask comes off completely. SpaceX announces they have the right to acquire Cursor for $60 billion, or pay $10 billion for the work they build together. The CEO of Cursor, Michael Truell, goes on X and says, simply, a meaningful step on our path to build the best place to code with AI. That one sentence just told every Anthropic engineer what they already feared. The company that made Claude indispensable to developers, they just hired an assassin and pointed it at the model powering them. This is not a partnership, this is a pipeline. Cursor captures the developer, Colossus trains the model, xAI replaces Claude, and 20-a-month Claude subscriptions become a memory. But here's where it gets truly uncomfortable, because we haven't even answered the most important question yet. Why does Elon Musk actually need this? Here is what nobody in the AI community is talking about. And I want you to think carefully. SpaceX does not build consumer software. They build systems that cannot fail. Avionics, fuel regulation, re-entry burn sequencing, autonomous landing algorithms. The software stack aboard Starship is millions of lines of high-consequence code. Every 6 months, that code gets more complex. And SpaceX is doing something no aerospace company in history has done. They are iterating at software speed. But here's the problem with AI coding tools in aerospace. Context windows. Claude's 1 million token context window is revolutionary for most developers. For SpaceX's full avionics codebase, it's still not enough. You're still splitting the system into chunks. You're still losing coherence. You're still risking a hallucination in a burn control function. What Cursor and Colossus together theoretically unlock is a model trained specifically on high-integrity, safety-critical code. Not general code from GitHub, not Stack Overflow answers. Custom trained on SpaceX's own internal repositories. This is vertical integration, the same strategy that made Tesla the only EV company with its own chip, its own software, its own energy ecosystem. Musk is not buying a code editor. He is building the central nervous system of a multiplanetary civilization, and he cannot afford to have the intelligence layer rented from a competitor. Now, let's talk about what this means for your workflow, because this is where it gets personal. If you are using Cursor today, you are one product decision away from being migrated. Let's be precise about what changes. First, model defaults will shift. Cursor currently defaults to the best available model regardless of provider. Claude 3.5, GPT-4o, whatever wins on the benchmark. Once Colossus-trained composer models are integrated, the default will be XAI. Not because it's better, because it's owned. Ownership beats benchmarks in business decisions, every time. Second, the API arbitrage ends. Right now, you can point Cursor at Claude directly, at GPT directly, or use Cursor's own routing. That optionality is what made Cursor neutral, a great aggregator. Once SpaceX completes the acquisition, Cursor is no longer neutral. It becomes a distribution channel for a competitor to the very models it used to sell. Anthropic knows this. OpenAI knows this, which is why both of them just accelerated their own native IDE integrations, Claude Code and Codex Agent, in the last 90 days. This is the real agent war, and Cursor just chose a side. Third, and this is the one nobody is saying out loud, if you are a startup building on top of Cursor's API for internal developer tooling, your infrastructure just became a geopolitical asset in someone else's war. The question is not whether to switch. The question is, switch to what? And that is exactly what we are going to break down in the next video. But first, the $60 billion question everyone is dancing around. Let's be precise. Because the deal structure matters. SpaceX's announcement said two possible outcomes. Pay $10 billion for the collaborative work, or acquire Cursor outright for $60 billion. The $60 billion figure only happens if the partnership produces results worth acquiring. The $10 billion is the floor, the price SpaceX pays either way for access, for compute priority, for the engineers. Cursor was valued at $2.5 billion in January of last year. 18 months later, SpaceX is pricing the option to own it at $60 billion. That is a 24 times multiple in 18 months. Here's the risk nobody is pricing in. SpaceX is burning cash. The XAI acquisition, the X social network losses, the Starship program costs, the IPO targeting June is partly designed to raise the capital Musk needs to fund this acquisition. If the IPO underperforms, the $60 billion deal becomes the $10 billion deal. Cursor stays independent, and the whole war resets. There is also a legal dimension that a certain trial, beginning this week, may complicate further for Musk's deal-making capacity. The deal is not done, but the direction is. Whether Cursor becomes part of XAI or not, the model of building your developer workflow on neutral, unowned infrastructure, that era is over. Here is what actually happened this week in plain language. The best coding tool ever built, a product that made Anthropic and OpenAI's models accessible to millions of developers through a beautiful, fast interface, just became a startup acquisition target in a war between three of the most powerful men in technology. And the developers caught in the middle, you, are both the prize and the product. The next 12 months will decide which AI owns the layer between your brain and your code. That's not a metaphor. That is the literal business objective. My recommendation, don't wait to be migrated. Understand your stack. Test Claude Code. Understand MCP. Build workflows that are infrastructure agnostic. Because in the agent war, the developer who survives is not the one using the best model. It's the one who can switch models without switching workflows. If this hit different, drop a comment with your current AI stack. I read every single one. And if you're not subscribed yet, the agent war is just getting started. Don't watch it from the sidelines.